What is happening, everybody? trueeevil here, and today I want to talk about Fangus because I think he is one of the best units right now in RTA as a sort of 4th and 5th pick to deal with a lot of the pesky problems that are showing up at the end of Season 0. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, there are a ton of people that are pivoting to bruiser teams just to deal with all the Revelation Cleave teams going around. And that means you're playing against people that have 4 units with Bloodbath, and they are bulky. So how are you going to get around that bulk? Well, you can try attacking them, but sometimes that's just not enough. So why not have a unit that can basically follow up on almost every attack and give dot effects as well as speed down? So that is why Fangus is amazing. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to show this in some game footage. But before we get to that, I'm going to talk about the build and why it's so good in RTA. Now, this is how I'm building my Fangus currently. There's a couple of reasons I'm doing this. One, I really like the speed just to make sure that he is cycling quickly, as well as the ether play gives the effect accuracy, makes him a little bit more bulky than a Swift Smite would be, and the strive is what really makes and breaks this unit here. The reason for that is because in these bruiser mirrors, there's units like Tiamat that are going to be doing these AoE attacks that don't necessarily do a whole ton of damage to teams that are fully latticed up, fully strengthened up. And what that means is we're taking advantage of this drive, and it's going to make us cycle even quicker. We're probably going to get multiple turns every game using this. So the follow-up attacks combined with this means you are dishing out so much dot that even though you're playing against the bulkiest team you've ever seen in your life, it doesn't really matter because it's going to go down. And this is really important because one of the things with the bruiser mirror that happens a whole lot is the deciding factor for a lot of these picks is, of course, who gets Rahu. Rahu just is so strong. He can dish out so much damage to Tiamat. It makes Tiamat look like a joke. And then Holden is also very, very strong with that D-spell. And since there's other units to prioritize in the mirror, such as Doki Doki, Fushu, sometimes you're not guaranteed 2 of the 3 damage dealers. But it's okay because a 5th pick, Fangus, most people aren't going to ban that. Most people are going to think that's a troll pick. But let me show you now why Fangus isn't a troll pick, but a Giga Chad pick. So let's get on to some gameplay. So a big thing that's going to happen in bruiser mirrors is whoever picks Rahu generally has a huge advantage because he's such a strong unit in the bruiser mirror. So how do you counter that? Well, I think Fangus is a great way to do that. And most of the time for your ban, you're going to ban one of their healers. In this situation, they had Tiamat as their 3rd pick, so I was able to ban their Ling Luo, and they banned my Sonya, because Sonya is really powerful for just making our HP insanely high and the revive. And the good news of this is it makes it so we have Fushu and Fangus, so we have that speed down on them and we have the speed up. Now the speed up isn't necessarily the best because they have Viper and that's going to get rid of it, but it does mean we have Moonlit Veil, and Moonlit Veil is one of the best ways to win this mirror. So basically what's going on now is, as you can watch, this Fangus is going to be taking insane amounts of turns with how much turn meter increase he's going to have, as well as just always giving them that speed down and dot effects. As you can see, the damage is really insane on this, especially with the follow-up attacks. It's really coming in clutch. Now, the dots are a little bit more effective than, say, the actual attacks, especially when he's built with the Swift Rush, and I think that's totally fine. And the dots are insane. I mean, just look at how many dots are on Rahu. It's kind of crazy to me. So yeah, it's definitely going to be strong. And once you get a certain amount of dots on them, even though they're getting that shield, what I would say to do is just really focus in on getting the Valerian out there just because of that cheat death and the hazy dream. What you want to do is just to dot them down so a unit will most likely get knocked out from the dots, and then go gangbusters on the Valerian. As you can see here, we are giving out no prisoners, and as you can see with the dots on the Rahu is probably going to get the hazy dream taken out immediately on his turn from the dot effects, as you can see there. This is really important because look at how low those HP bars are. It's really making it so we can get that noise driven in there. And we really have to show that we are the juice right here, because let them have their lighthouses, boys. We're not going to be using that. We are going to be beating them with that raw gains. Look at that super soaker right there. Holy moly, boys. Look at those dots. Look at that Tiamat. It's all about that Fangus, bro. I am telling you, I love Fangus. So here we're doing another match just to show that I do this and it's not just a oops onesie kind of deal. And in this matchup in particular, it was a little difficult to do the pick because there was one healer with the Sonya, but the other character that I ended up banning was Doki Doki. And in this situation, I do think, just in case of how powerful the Lilith is, I really need to go for that band. And if his Lilith was faster than my Ling Luo, I would be in sort of trouble. Now, I wouldn't have been in trouble because they did ban my fastest unit, which, since there is no bulwark on his team, then if my Kazuo did go through, it would have been easy mode on this. But since that wasn't the case, this is how this is going to go down. You see, the Sonya is just incredibly bulky, and what we really want to be doing is just, well, making sure the Sonya goes down before we go to the Tiamat. Now, this might look hard because this Tiamat is clearly a fully latticed one, fully built, really scary, but the thing we have to keep in mind is there is nothing that scary compared to just a infinite bulky Sonya. So we are just going to go all in on that Sonya, get her down, and once that's down, the Rahu will have about 10 to 12 stacks, and then it should make it so Tiamat's in one-shot territory. I think it's really important not to go to Tiamat first because I don't want the Tiamat to ultimate too early. I want to get some nice damage down on the Sonya because it does take a little bit of a time, especially with that much speed on the Sonya with the Jackal Guard. So here what's going to end up happening is we're just going to keep doing that, and the problem with the Fangus ult is that it does target the Tiamat. As you can see there, we got hit with the Bramble proc, but it's going to be okay. I think having that universal speed down is super important, and that's why I banned the Doki Doki. If you ban the Doki Doki, then that speed up plus the speed down is going to really just make you win the Bruiser Mirror. But the problem, of course, is we don't have speed up because of Holden. So there's always the counter to the speed up, but it's a little bit harder for them to get rid of that speed down. So I think as long as we have this Moonlit Veil, we will be chilling. Now, it does look a little scary with the amount of damage I am taking, but I am not sweating, boys. Fangus might be a little bit weaker compared to these bulky units, but he's going to be dishing out the smoke. And, you know, once he gets down a little bit, we're going to be pretty chilling, in my opinion, because, well, Artisan on this Rahu proc, if any of them start getting down to like 20% HP, I know just by how much damage is being dealt right now is there's not going to be any like real, you know, just really huge cleave type action that is going to make me lose. As you can see here, my Fangus is definitely not going to lose because of that Artisan proc. Like, look how big that Artisan is. It is so giant. And that's why I don't use Bloodbath on my Rahu, because I just want him to have the most defense possible. And it's just really evident with this, right? It's just really nice to have a character for these Bruiser Mirrors that can dish out the smoke. And best believe it, boys, I think this is the way to go. So as you can see, we're trying to get it down. It is annoying because of Jackal Guard, but I do think we're not in trouble here at all. Now, we're at that point where we could just Rahu whack the Tiamat, and I think that is enough to take it down. But I think it's better to just keep going with the cuts because the Sonya is now down and we can easily one-shot that Tiamat, I believe. And I think this is important because we want her the weakest as possible, as you could see there. As you could see there, I think it's really important to always just not go for the Tiamat and wait a little bit while. And that's because Tiamat takes damage from everyone else's, sort of does a damage mitigation. And this is important because once you get her down to about quarter of a health, even with Bloodbath, because of how low Tiamat's defense is, you can pretty much whack them with a Rahu and end their day. So important if you are worrying about that Bramble proc like I was, always go for the weaker units first. Make it so that they lose the most HP, getting that damage mitigation on the other units. And then once they're nice and low at that quarter health, this is going to be super important because of that lighthouse that we saw. Lighthouse is not going to proc if we're able to do damage on the other units, so it's really nice to get him into that one-shot register, so you don't have to worry about a Bramble proc into a Lighthouse proc into another ultimate attack, which would be bad news bears. But as long as you play it smart, Tiamat is not difficult, especially with our boy Fangus here. Now, I really hoped that was a way to make you really want to try out Fangus and RTA, especially if you're a bruiser player, because I think if you build him really bulky like I have here, he is really just going to shine and just absolutely win you those mirrors, because right now there's just too much bloodbath and not enough damage in my opinion. So it really makes it so characters like Fangus can shine. Now, of course, you can build him other ways. You could try building him with Golden Lion and just go straight on gangbusters with the attacking, but I actually think this Gigabyte version is just so much better because of how much turn meter increase you're going to get with this Gigabyte. And even if they give you that speed down with the Viper, you're just going to be cutting in front of him and showing who is the real Giga Chad in this game. So hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you try Fangus. Let me know in the comments if this was helpful, as well as shout out to all the channel members that really helped this video become possible. I can't wait to come back from my vacation and do more of these videos. So see you guys next time.